What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Processing Blue, where we process blue for you. I'm Alex Zietlow, a Carolina Panthers beat writer for the Charlotte Observer. And with me, as he has been dutifully and will continue to be for a while, is sports columnist Scott Fowler. Scott, how are you, man? How are you liking that side of the table? How are you liking this new lighting situation?
I love it. I love it. I was partly helping on that along with the wonderful producer, Zach Dennis. We got the lighting changed a little. I had some complaints that it looked like I was ascending into heaven off the lighting off the last one, my white hair plus a white board behind it and some bad white light. It was, it was bad. I don't want to go to the light yet. So we're changing it up a little today.
Okay, well, Scott, do you want to tell the people who gave you those snarky comments for
Well,
now? No, you
I have
don't.
to say it was one of my children.
That's how it goes.
Children are honest, and that's what you want.
No, you know who else is honest? My parents, at least. Oftentimes they'll say things like particularly my mom, she'll say something like, "Hey, buddy, it was really good. You used a couple vocalized pauses, you know." All she cares about is if I say like or That's truly all she cares about.
She's not caring about the content.
I mean, I think
Just
she
whatever's in
does.
between.
I think she does, but I think she trusts me to know that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to Panthers football, but she doesn't quite trust me to, and now I'm like in my head about it. Now I don't want to say like her but she just wants me to get through my sentence like with coherence.
You just made everyone going to be listening to this podcast to hear you say
can't
library.
wait. I
Count
can't
the
wait.
people, count them and email him. How many does he do?
Okay. Before I get into my head too much, let's make a reminder real quick to the people listening. One final shout for those interested in this really cool event the Observer is putting on September 1, so early next week. We are going to have a fun, exclusive conversation with wide receiver Jalen Coker. That's right. Fan favorite touchdown catching Jalen Coker will be at Old Mecklenburg Brewery in Ballantyne on Tuesday, September 1. Doors open at 6 p.m. and we'll be doing a short interview with him and also allow y'all some time to ask him some questions as well. Tickets are $10 each. You've got to be a subscriber to the Charlotte Observer. I'm sorry, that's just the name of the game here. But please do that. Scott, anything I'm missing? I mean, it's going to be a great event.
Great event, almost sold out already.
That's right.
So we're practically it's going to be a full house. But we'd love to include you if you hurry. And I should mention, yes, we are charging $10 to do it, but we are not making any money from those tickets.
That's right.
That does not go to us. That goes to charity, specifically a terrific charity picked by Jalen Coker himself. So
yeah.
It's a charity event. It's a fun event. It'll get you in a great mood for the season. We'll answer your fantasy football questions if you haven't had your draft yet. Alex and I are going to be up there talking and doing sort of something similar like this podcast up there as well, along with Jalen Coker interview. And so really going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you have any ideas for what I should ask Jalen to begin have you seen this thing where a certain college football program is auctioning off who can
Akron, I think.
Yeah, Akron. Mm-hmm. They're auctioning off who can script
play. Saw the first series.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Oh my gosh, should we auction off like who can ask the first question, Jalen? That's probably a bad idea, actually.
It's not a bad idea.
No, I think it is a bad
idea.
It
is a bad idea.
No, but okay, it should be a lot of fun. We will see you there. Scott, you want to talk some Panthers football?
Let's do it.
NFL football, etc.
Yeah.
I was thinking we could talk a little bit about the Jacksonville preseason game to start off. Maybe a little bit about the injury situation the Panthers are in right now, because it is kind of a cocktail of chaos at the moment. And then we'll talk about the most concerning thing and the most hopeful thing for the Panthers as they approach their preseason finale. That is on Friday night against the Houston Texans in Bank of America Stadium. Does that sound good?
Great.
Thank you. You're such a good supporter. Okay. Recapping this Jacksonville preseason game, I imagine that's where we should start.
We should. And of course, I was not there, but you were. You made the 6-hour drive down to Jacksonville and were there several days. So why don't you talk about the game, but also maybe the joint practices a little bit, because that's to these coaches as important as the game these days.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the joint practice. So, firstly, the Jacksonville practice facility is really cool. It's essentially what the Panthers practice facility is going to be in by 2029 or whatever. Or no, excuse me, by 2027. So it was beautiful. We were outside. Everyone went through individual drills. Well, they started with warm up, and then each team did their own individual drills. And then after that, Scott, it was essentially a scrimmage. It was essentially on one field, it was the first team Jaguars offense against the first team Jaguars defense. And then on the other field, it was the first team Panthers offense against the second team, or against the first team Jaguars defense. And then obviously, when the second teams came out, third teams came out, etc. And so it was just like a really great opportunity to see some really competitive battles. It was a bit more of a controlled environment than a preseason game, but in many ways it was a bit more intense too, because the coaches got to manipulate situations and they got to go through red zone drills, for instance, and they got to go through, 2-minute drills and stuff like this. So really fun. It got really chippy on the defensive side of the ball. I told this to someone on the sideline. I was like, well, when the Panthers defense fails, at least they might not completely bounce back, but they're going to punch back. Because that's literally what they did. The Jaguars offense.
Let me guess, Trey Merrick involved.
That was he was the initiator. Yeah. Of course, that was him.
Trey Merrick is an enforcer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Jaguars offense kind of was cooking the Panthers defense at first. And then the Panthers defense got a couple takeaways, kind of saved face. Nick Scott actually intercepted Trevor Lawrence on one rep, so that was good. The Panthers offense also started slow in the joint practice. The run game wasn't good. The interior offensive line, even though they had Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, Luke Fortner, all the starters playing, started kind of slow. But then you kind of could just see from the corner of their eyes, Bryce was just like, dude, I'm tired of this. T-Mac, I'm throwing you the ball. I'm just going to throw it up to Tedero McMillan and see what happens. And a lot of really good things resulted from that. So that was kind of the story of the joint practice. I would say it was a pretty even joint practice. The Panthers ultimately won on offense, I would say, and lost on defense. But whatever, they weren't actually like keeping score or anything.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, and that was really fair in a way than the game because they didn't play their starters. Jacksonville didn't play their starters, but they did play them in this joint practice.
Yep.
And let's remember, I had to look it up to make sure I was right, but Jacksonville was 13-4 last year.
They were great.
They were a really good team. Gave about made a run in the playoffs too. I mean, acquitted themselves well, so that's a good team. So if you go even, if they did go even with them, that's promising.
Yeah, no, it is. The preseason game, like you mentioned, it was a little bit of an uneven playing field. The Panthers were playing their starters outside of a couple key defensive players. Jalen Phillips didn't play with some soreness in his elbow. Devin Lloyd, inside linebacker, didn't play with some soreness in his knee. And he also was held out today. We're recording this on a Monday. He was also held out today on Monday's practice. They called it a vet day, but then Dave also said that he was dealing with some knee soreness. That was a little weird. If I had to look into a crystal ball, I imagine that he'll be just fine for week 1, but they're going to keep him out of practice and keep him out of the preseason finale just out of posterity.
Sure.
And then they also played without Derek Brown on the defensive side of the ball, but pretty much everyone else played. And then you had Chuba Hubbard, who didn't play on the offensive side of the ball as well. But pretty much everyone else played for the Panthers. And I'm not going to lie to you, Scott. I understand that the narrative of the emerging from the game was, okay, everyone, don't panic. Bryce Young in the offense is okay. Everything is fine. He did put together a great stat line. He was 5 of 6 for 49 yards. No touchdowns, but Jonathan Brooks got into the end zone for the first time as a professional. That was a great story. And I understand that is like the thing. Oh, everything's fine. But it wasn't fine. How many plays did they run in that first series? Like 5, 6, and then punted against second team defense? I mean, tell me if I'm overplaying this a little bit, but the fact that the Panthers first team offense can't get off to good starts is concerning. It was also concerning. It was also evident in the joint practice. I don't really know what it is. I don't know the secret sauce to awaken them, but that simply can't happen this year.
Yeah, that's been, of course, a problem for years. That's why Bryce has, he's got all these clutch comebacks, and they are always behind,
Yeah.
or tied or whatever. But it's not always been the case. I mean, but very often they've fallen behind early, and shoot, they might need to sell their first 15 plays like Akron is doing or whatever. Get a fan to call a couple because the scripting is and in this case, I think they did get a first down in that first drive, and then I think Jonathan Brooks missed a pickup.
Oh, that's right. He did miss pass
And
protection.
and so that messed that one up, and so that was a punt. And plus, I thought at the time I was like, well, they should just go for that. They were around the 45 or something, and I thought maybe instead they punted it down and held them, and ended up scoring anyway. So, but yeah, I look back and actually last year's preseason we were talking about this exact same thing. Bryce had very similar stat line where I don't know, they scored a touchdown like every fifth drive or something with him. They did a bunch of punts as well. And we've seen that. I mean, that's happened a lot. So I do hope that's something they can fix this year because, always going into halftime down 17-7 or whatever it is disconcerting.
Yeah, I agree. Other people that stood out to me from the preseason game, Jimmy Horn Jr. He flashed his speed. He had an end-around rush for 39 yards. He made a pretty tough catch receiving the ball from Kenny Pickett in the red zone, which was really good. I think we can safely say that he's making this team. I have no reservations of saying that he is making this team. Dave Canales will always have a little bit of gray area. He's saying he's making a great case for himself, that Jimmy Horn Jr. is making a great case for himself to make this 53-man roster, but I think it's got to be set in stone at this point, or at least as close to it as possible. Ryan Fitzgerald, he missed a 30-yarder, but he also nailed a 61-yarder. That was really encouraging. I think the Panthers are in really good hands, really good feet with him. Terrible joke. Wow. Terrible. I also, there were some concerning things along the offensive line still. When Bryce Young wasn't in the game, Chandler Zavala still, I think he actually played a little bit better than he had the previous 2 weeks, but he's always going to be in this conversation. At inside linebacker, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the inside linebackers later in the show, but Claudin Cherlis and Trevin Wallace didn't separate themselves at all to me, and they still need to figure out who is going to be the starting linebacker alongside Devin Lloyd, and they haven't done that yet. Tight ends is still a problem. Tommy Tremble looked good, but are they really seriously going to keep 5 tight ends this year? Like, that's the thing with this Jacksonville game, man. It was like, this was their opportunity to separate themselves. So many players had an opportunity to separate themselves, and they didn't really do that. The only person who was just like, jump off the page, wow, you're amazing. Well, I guess 2, Jimmy Horn Jr. And I thought John Mechie had a really wonderful game. The only problem is he was playing late into the third quarter and even a little bit of the fourth quarter.
Playing third stringers, but he did, he had 7 catches or something. He had a bunch of yards.
I think it was targeted.
Yards.
Yeah, I think it was targeted 7 times, caught 6 passes, and but like it almost felt like the team was putting this on tape for him because they kind of know, hey man, you're playing this late in a preseason game. The writing's kind of on the wall. I don't know. I'm just rambling. I can keep going if you want. Do you want to jump in anywhere?
Yeah. Well, I thought, again, watching it on TV and not being there in person like you do, so I didn't have the exact same vantage point, but I thought for what it was, the first team versus second team, that they did what they should do, that it looked what it should look like, and after a really bothersome second week of preseason, I thought when they went up to Buffalo, this looked more like what you wanted. I thought, Bryce had a couple of the sorts of plays we've seen in training camp. That throw where he threw it kind of deep sideline to Trimble, and Trimble made kind of fingertip catch up. That was great.
Yep.
And he had a couple of the T-Mac too that looked. He just looked so confident throwing to him. Didn't throw to Coker as much as probably I'd like, but again, he only threw 5 or 6 times. So
Yeah,
that's you don't have a lot of time to spread all the work out.
when Bryce has time, he is so good.
Yeah, and even when he's when he's rolling, he's really good too. As long as he's just not you're not in his space immediately. You do need to roll him out, get him out of the have it a rolling pocket a little bit, and he has looked really good. This is the best training camp I've seen him have, and it's not close. And so I think, as I've said all along, it's going to go how far he takes it, and it's been all this other stuff we're talking about is important. None of it's as important as Bryce. And so I thought in limited work, he only had 2 series. He looked good, and that's all we're going to see. There's no way he's playing Friday night.
I just can't imagine it. No.
So they'll sit him, and so we're just going to have to wait and see against Chicago what it looks like, and in a 16-minute game, which is always a little scary.
Of course, Dave Canales could pull a John Fox and not think the Panthers did enough in the joint practice and be like, yo, screw it. Y'all are playing.
There's just no way.
There's no way.
He would never do that. I know that's what they have to say, but those starters are not playing Friday night. That would just shock me if they did.
Before we move
Other than a few guys, like maybe you can play, 1 or 2 guys that didn't play last week or something.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Sure. Before we move on to our next segment, just real quick, Shaw Smith-Wade interception, diving interception.
Oh yeah, we've got to talk about that.
He has had, I think, a low-key good training camp. We probably haven't talked about it as much as we should have.
You don't play a lot.
There have been other defensive backs who've been making plays. Also, he has been neck and neck in this position battle with Corey Thornton, who is kind of the belle of the ball last training camp. This undrafted guy who found his way onto the team by not only making plays in coverage, but also making plays in the run game. Corey has had a quieter training camp this year. And
we have a pick in today's practice.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But yes, you're right. In general, I don't think he hadn't looked that great.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing. I'm curious to see. I imagine they'll both play. They'll get a lot of reps in the Houston joint practice. I imagine they'll also play in the preseason game. That could be a fun thing to watch.
Well, Shaw Smith-Wade, that play, the way he got there was really something else. It was like the receiver was sort of waiting for the ball, and that was a dynamic play, the kind too that normally gets dropped by defensive backs. Defensive backs so often have become defensive backs because their hands aren't as great. They still have the skill. And so it's okay if you just bat it down as a defensive back. That still is really good. As a wide receiver, it's not good. But in this case, this was a high wide receiver level type interception. And I think he will play a lot this year. He's in slot or whatever. I mean, you got to have half a dozen defensive backs that are going to play every week, really, the way the NFL is structured now. So I think that was a nice play by him. And, and as you said, a 61-yard field goal outdoors in pretty high humidity is nothing to sneeze at either.
Nothing to sneeze at.
Which is a very strange phrase when think about it. What would you sneeze?
What would constitute something that is like that goes to the threshold of, oh no, you got to sneeze at that?
That's a weird expression. You know what another one is?
What?
Subpar. You say something subpar, that means it's bad, right? And golf, actually, subpar is terrific. You want to be subpar.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Dude, I don't understand a lot of things about golf.
Subpar is a weird one.
If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't understand a lot of things about golf. And I talked to Ryan Fitzgerald today on Monday for our Charlotte Observer subscribers. Hopefully you read the story that came out on Tuesday. But afterward, we were just like talking about golf and how, because a couple of fun things happened over the summer. He got engaged, and he got this new puppy, is a charcoal Labrador. No, wait, I'm not amazing with that. Oh yeah, a lab. It was a lab.
You don't even like them.
No, I do. Don't you dare do that. Not on a public forum like this. We are not doing that. But he got this cute puppy and named it Wiley after Lake Wiley. which I think is, I mean, it's a cool name. I think it's also showing that, you know,
that's a journalistic thing, get the name of the dog. Good for you.
oh, I had to. But I just think it's interesting because it's like the entire interview, he talked about how this is a kicking competition, no matter if another kicker's not on the roster.
Well, that's true. I mean, you miss 2 kicks at any point.
And you can just sign someone off the street because those guys are still training. Like,
oh, sure.
Matthew Wright had the highest kick. He was 100% on field goals last year, and he's not signed to a team right now. And so he played it like I did a story on him last year. I imagine this is still the case. His day job, he works at this place called Lockheed Martin, which is like a very famous defense company. We don't have to go into it. And then in the afternoons, he goes and kicks footballs and then waits for his agent to say, hey, the San Francisco 49ers need you. Hey, the Panthers need you. So this is what Ryan Fitzgerald is going up against every week. He's not only playing against someone on his team, because there's no one on his team. He's playing against the entire league of kickers. And so we kind of talked about that pressure and what comes with that. So thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
How did we get here? Oh, he's just really good at golf. Ryan is.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where the golf thing was. Well, that's some relatives that go like that. They just talk and talk and talk, and you're like, and then they wind back around. It's like a roller coaster, and it shows up back at the same spot, so you just don't ride it. You just let
it was a little bit more of a robust conversation about golf, but we've already spent way too much time on this.
Right,
you want to talk about the injury situation that the Panthers are facing right now?
Injury situation. A few little problematic things that happens by this point. I will say that I think they're in pretty good shape. Like Nick Scorton, that was a big blow on day one. But like since then, knock on wood, and we're at wood right now, so I'll knock on it.
Well, there's Chris Brazzell too, not to cut you off.
Chris Brazzell,
big deal. Yep.
Right. But Chris Brazzell was all potential. Nick Scorton, we know what he could do.
That's right.
And they're still very deep, I think, the wide receiver. But in any case, they've really not had those kinds of injuries. They've had little things, hamstrings, keep you out a week, keep you out, whatever, an elbow, these sorts of things that aren't just catastrophic. And so Xavier Legette is in a boot, and that's a foot injury. He'll be in the boot for this week. He ain't playing Friday, so we won't see him until September 13th. I believe he'll play that day. If he doesn't, they're going to have to figure out a new third receiver that day, which will probably be Bryson Tremaine or David Moore, I think, based on what we've seen in practice. Haynes King, everyone's fan favorite. He's not going to play in the real games, but liking to stay on the roster, of course, and he's got a hamstring. He will not play Friday. That's a shame, because this would have been a fun Haynes King game, and he would have played a ton, so much. So I'm sorry that Haynes King's not going to play that game. He had his one wonderful moment.
Is his one wonderful moment enough to keep him on the keep him on the roster? I think it is.
I think you were right on that. I came around on that. I wasn't quite sure, but now that you think, a lot of teams be able to take a gamble on a quarterback, so you probably cannot hope he clears waivers because someone else could pick him up. No, you just keep him as a third quarterback. I think you kind of have to bite the bullet.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Morgan might be able to do some roster magic, maybe put him on the injured reserve or physically unable to perform list, and then kind of sneak him on the practice squad eventually. But like just to straight up waive him.
You don't just waive him.
And then hope that he comes back. That's going to be difficult to do.
And then, of course, maybe the most important one is Chuba Hubbard has a hamstring. Chuba Hubbard would have been their number one back. Would have started game one for sure. Probably still will, I guess. But he's been held out the last 2 weeks or week and a half, something like that, with his hamstring. Now, he said today, this is Monday, he said that he could play, this weekend. If it was week one, he would definitely be able to play. They said he hit 20 miles an hour in his, on the
return to play
treadmill thing or whatever they do. 20 miles an hour, by the way, is super fast. Try to run it sometime. That's incredibly quick. And
I mean, I could do that, but
that goes without saying, of course. Zach as well. Zach definitely can do, our producer. But Chuba is, he says he'll play. Jonathan Brooks, though, in the meantime, has looked good, and this has given Jonathan some more chances, probably. But anyway, Chuba Hubbard, that seems promising, headed in the right direction.
When Chuba was answering questions today on the podium, and we were asking him about his injury, did you notice him kind of like smile and be like, "No, I can play. Like, don't worry, guys, I can play." They're being very cautious with me. I think for fair reasoning, last year, I think Chuba's such a competitive guy and wants to be a part of the team so bad and wants to contribute to this team so bad that he came back a little too early from a calf injury. And so that just hurt the entire running back room as a whole and the entire running game and the entire offense as a result. So I think they're being super cautious with him. But also at the same time, I think they're just like, hey, Chuba, like this injury, this is just Alex's reading of it. It might be wrong, but hey, you have this injury. We're just going to prevent you from taking too many hits. We're just not even going to attempt you to get hit on a preseason game. Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right too. I think that's it from the injury situation.
Let's go to the Texans.
Let's talk about the Texans. Obviously, joint practice on Wednesday. That'll be super fun. CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young.
Big time friends.
Yeah, great friends. Yeah. Probably one of the best, if not the best, pass rushing unit the Panthers will see.
Oh, that offensive line better be ready for that on that joint practice, because those 1v1s is going to be tough competition there.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
By the way, did you see? Actually, I'm not even going to bring it up. Well, I am because I just did. Did you see the video that I posted about Rasheed Walker winning a one-on-one against someone, and then Rasheed quote tweeted and said, it was against Trayvon Walker of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Rasheed Walker quote tweeted and said, "I'm the real Walker." Did you see that?
I can't say so.
Okay, well,
that sounds really good. I'm gonna look back on that.
Scott famously, he reads all my work, he reads all his colleagues' work, but he just doesn't care about my Twitter feed, and that's fine.
Not much on the social media. I do use it a lot, but I can't say that I'm on it a lot.
Very fair.
Trying to stay off it.
I shouldn't have put you on the spot like that. My bad. But this offensive line is going to be tested. I was thinking the easiest way to talk about these Texans kind of events is we can talk about the most concerning thing for the Panthers going into the preseason finale, and then the most hopeful thing for the Panthers going into the preseason finale. Let's start with the concerning thing. Do you want to go first, Scott?
Yeah, and I'm not going to learn my answers that I want in this game because they're not going to play their starters. But to me, I continue, and this has probably been the same for the last 8 months since that Rams game and that final drive that scarred so many Panthers fans. But I got to see a pass rush, and I just want to make sure it's really there. I know they've spent the money for it. I know it should be there, but I want to see it actually happen in game 1 against Caleb Williams. I don't know what's going to happen on, Friday night. I mean, that's immaterial in a way, but I want to see Jalen Phillips, and I want to see Princely, and I want to see some big time pass rush this year. That is my most concerning thing in general. Not just before.
So none of your fears were assuaged when Jared Harrison Hunt and Pat Jones.
Yeah, that was good. I heard that. Okay. Pat Jones, that looks promising. Yeah, but again, you need to see it in the real world.
Yeah, you need to see it in the real world. You need to see it against first team guys.
Right.
And I think the joint practice will be an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Right. Yeah, we'll see more Wednesday than we will on Friday.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I don't want to talk about the offensive line. I've been talking about the offensive line all training camp, all preseason. You know that it's a concern. If you don't know it yet and you want more info, visit charlotteobserver.com. Go whatever. The thing that I'm most concerned about, honestly, is figuring out what to do at inside linebacker. It's funny, like I'm going out and I get back from Jacksonville on Saturday. I hang out with some people on Saturday night. And the first thing they asked me is like, okay, so we have to go out in free agency and get a inside linebacker alongside Devin Lloyd, right? I'm just like, guys, what? Like, hello, like, good to see you, But that's the first thing they asked me, and I'm just like, how did this kind of precipitate into the mainstream consciousness of the Panthers fan. The fact that, Trevin Wallace is a draft pick from not that long ago. In fact, I actually don't think he was that terrible when he wasn't injured. Claude Charles has played really good spot snaps as well. I just think both have not had great preseasons. Neither have separated themselves. And I think people get a bit uneasy when they don't have two starting inside linebackers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I do think this is a concern. The fact that the Panthers don't know who's going to start alongside Devin Lloyd. Maybe they do and they're kind of hiding it, but I truly don't think they do. And you should probably know that it's not the most important part of the defense. I would venture to say that in a 3-4, you need a really, really good defensive line to really hold down the run game. And so still control the line of scrimmage in ways like that. Devin Lloyd is going to erase a lot of mistakes, obviously. But the fact that you don't have someone alongside Devin Lloyd is a problem at this point.
Yeah.
Most hopeful thing. I'll go first. The Bryce Young and Teteroa McMillan connection is alive. It is intact. That's very good. They connected on 2 passes for 25 yards in the preseason game last week. I imagine in the joint practice, when things go wrong for this first team offense, Bryce is going to do the same thing and basically be like, all right, T-Mac, I'm going to throw you the ball and you got to go get it. I legitimately think I said this earlier, like I think last week or something. T-Mac could be, I know he had a great year last year. He could be a 10 touchdown receiver. He didn't get in the end zone for several weeks at the beginning of the year. Ended with 7 touchdowns, which is pretty good. His production was a bit uneven at times because obviously Bryce Young's production was a bit uneven at times. Still had over 1,000 yards receiving in the regular season. There is a real possibility that this guy this year is a 1,300 yard, 10 touchdown receiver, which would put him in the top 7, top 8 receivers in the NFL. Now, the huge caveat is that he's healthy and he was remarkably durable that first year, which is just a superpower in and of itself. So if he can replicate that, then I think that's obviously an easier path to those numbers. But those numbers are right there for the taking. And could you imagine that you'd say that about any receiver 2 years ago?
No.
I couldn't even.
No.
You'd be crazy to say something like that 2 years ago.
I mean, DJ Moore had that sort of potential and was in that realm for a while, but that was that's a while back, and so yeah, T-Mac is. I mean, I wasn't sure about that draft choice at the time. I just hadn't seen him play enough in college, but that was a great pick. I mean, you picked the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, and here he comes into year 2, and I agree. He's there was a lot of near catches he had last year. Made some acrobatic catches. Also missed some acrobatic catches that you'd be like, I think I've seen him do that in practice about 5 times. Why didn't he make that one-handed catch? So I think I've seen less of that in practice. I just feel like he's just mostly just latching on to everything. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Mine, I would say that the hopeful thing is I have really liked that Jonathan Brooks in limited work has looked good, seems fast, seems dynamic, and I think that he can step into that Rigo Dowdle role, and Chuba needs to have a backfield mate to share the carries with at this point in his career, I think, and Brooks and Chuba are going to be a nice fit. So I'm going to say that, but also I wanted to bring up one other thing about, and because the Texans game reminds me that once upon a time, the Texans had a quarterback named Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson was a heck of a quarterback at Clemson first, and then at Houston, before everything spiraled down for him for a number of reasons. But lest we forget, only 4 years ago, the Panthers so badly wanted Deshaun Watson to be their number 1 quarterback. We would still be dealing with the Deshaun Watson fallout today if they had gotten it, what they wanted, which finally they were outbid by Cleveland. There were several teams in the running, not just the Panthers, some other NFC South teams too. but ultimately Cleveland just put this incredible bid out there, and the Deshaun Watson thing has just helped wreck the Browns.
Scott, I was so curious how you're going to segue this into the most hopeful thing for the Panthers, but then I understand it now.
Yeah, they dodged the bullet.
They dodged a bullet.
That's the hopeful thing. Sometimes the thing you really, really want, they don't work out in life, turns out to be great. And so Deshaun Watson didn't work out for the Panthers. They wanted it really badly at the time. This was in the Matt Rule era, and didn't work out. Thank God.
Yeah, I have a lot of opinions on this. That whatever. The thing is, the Browns are starting the least popular quarterback in the league, and they are benching the most popular quarterback in the league.
Most popular. Maybe
Shedeur Sanders
with Cleveland fans. Maybe.
I think
he's more popular than Josh Allen.
Well, okay, but now we're trampling on sacred ground. If you're trying to immediately compare Shedeur Sanders to Josh Allen, and I do think that there is a case that Shedeur Sanders has that.
He might have some more jersey.
That he has that kind of clout. Yeah, so
at this point,
dude,
that's not that good, but he's better than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Speaking of, also, this is a complete non sequitur. Sorry about this. Did you see that Aaron Donald might play for the Rams this year?
That's ridiculous.
That would be insane.
The Rams are going to be really good, man. They're going to be a real problem.
My goodness. Are they? They already are a Super Bowl contender. You just are when you have Sean McVay and Matt Stafford and all that firepower on offense, Puka Nacua, blah, blah, blah. The defense is really good. They got Myles Garrett this offseason. Myles Garrett on one side, Aaron Donald on the other. I know Aaron Donald's been retired for
he's not even as good as Myles Garrett now. But I don't know why they haven't signed him as of yet. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, they will have. They keep trying him out.
Yep.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
But Aaron Donald, even 50% of Aaron Donald is still a really good NFL starter for 50% of his best. So yeah, the Rams are that's a team that's going to be a real issue in the NFC.
They got a really good announcer crew too. You see Brenda Song in the PA system, or with the microphone. That was sick. That was awesome.
But Jordan Rodriguez was in there too, right?
Charlotte Observer alum.
Charlotte Observer's Jordan Rodriguez. We were proud to see that.
Okay, all right. We are getting a little off topic. But that was great. Anything else? That's all I have written out in our outline, Scott. Anything else that we should mention before we get on out of here?
Just remember that the Jalen Coker event is next week, the charity event, and that is we still have a couple of tickets remaining. Those can be found if you search online. I think it's Eventbrite, Jalen Coker, Charlotte Observer. You'll find it. I think we still have, and those are for the Charlotte Observer subscribers. So please join us for that event next Tuesday, September 1st. Alex, you want to talk a little bit about your newsletter, which is excellent. People should sign up for this thing. It's free and right there for you.
Yeah, and I provide commentary, exclusive insights, and then trivia questions, and then I also just lay out everything that Scott and I have written earlier this week. I know that there's a lot of notifications coming to your phone.
We do it briefly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, briefly.
It's not the full stories.
No, that's a little too much. But I know you get a lot of notifications on your phone every week, and this is just an easy way to keep up with everything.
What's it called again?
It's called Access Panthers, like Access Hollywood, but Access Panthers. Yes. Oh, and just quick thing on the Jalen Coker thing. Hopefully, and I'm looking at Zach as I am doing this. This should be the information to obtain those tickets should be in the YouTube description and the Spotify description. He has given me a nod. No, he just shrugged. Okay. Oh, he's nodding and shrugging. And then obviously we wrote a story about it earlier this week. So if you just go through the pages of charlotteobserver.com, you'll find info on that as well. Scott, I think that's it.
It's been a pleasure, Alex. Our pleasure. As I said, check the letter.
Okay, and with that, here we go. Thanks, as always, for listening to our pontifications on all things Panthers with Scott Fowler and myself and our wonderful producer, Zach Dennis. Please subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts by searching Processing Blue. And if you watch us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever new episodes drop. And finally, please be sure to stick to CharlotteObserver.com for all of your Panthers needs. Scott, stay humble, stay creative, and keep processing.